Heroes. I'm your host, Mysticraven. Alright, I've got a level scrying. I gotta finish my scrying on this. So, it's the event, so I'm gonna get the XP boost from Brita's Magnificent Mead. And that's in East March, and it's by the Kynes Grove, it's Way Shrine. And then what I want to do is I can go down to my slottables and then use my experience scroll. This is kind of important because some things are just a pain to level, some skill lines, right? Also, if you're trying to get champion points, or, level alts, now's the time to do it. I mean, if you're wanting to really take advantage of capitalizing on the XP gain, you really want to go ahead and get that double XP. In anything that you're doing, excuse me, try to get it done, get it over with. For me, I haven't finished my scrying on this, so that's what I'm in process of trying to do. No, so I'm gonna have to get another full leg. Okay, hold on. I always set the marker. There's already a marker there, but it helps just to... A lot of people grinding this all the way up to purple for Arteum, or even up to gold. Why? Because it's a short map. You can just regurgitate the same leads. It's boring. It's tedious. It's insanely boring. I'm not even going to lie to anybody. Make sure you guys slot your site too. All right. Not really, whatever. That's the one thing I didn't want to do. Damage it. Okay. There's that. Boring. Oh look, I'm right here. Perfect. I'm telling you, man, this shit gets boring. I'm trying to like think where. All right. Hold on, I'll check out the comment in a second. And then what I usually do is I'll clear that out. Nothing there. Alright. Alright, anyways, there he goes. Have it. I got a shield. But, yeah. Get that shit done. It's already boring. It's boring. This gonna be my nightmare. I promise. Because I've already done it once, and now I'm doing it again. I'm like, I hate this mechanic. Oren, what's up? What's up, dude? How you doing? I'm grinding during the double XP to unlock my scrying ability. My, what the heck's it called? Oh my god, I hate it so bad. Yeah, my scrying and my excavation. Oh, and I'm only at 4. It's boring. It is. I honestly, I really, oh my god. I keep asking myself, what was us thinking? Putting something this boring in a game. You know, it would have been something, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's kind of like this. Why? Oh, yeah. No, whatever. It's gonna get unlocked anyways. Yeah, no, it's terrible. Blech, yeah, grind. Server merges coming to New World already? Well, I mean, they did have to overload them because how whatever, so I guess that's good. I mean, I think the game would still be healthy. I just really hope they address like some of the, you know, add some of the negative aspects. I think that game's gonna be like, once they pan out a few things, you know, they had the launch. I felt like it was better, one of the better launches that I've ever seen in a game in almost forever. Like, you know, their server stability is very impressive. It's impressive. I mean, but we are talking about Amazon, so I mean, if anybody's going to have server capability, it's going to be those guys, right? It was, yeah, it was. It was one of the smoothest launches I have seen in almost. It feels like a lifetime. It really does. I mean, it really does feel like it's been a long time since I've seen that smooth of a launch from any game. Games got its issues, but then again, what game doesn't? Right. Yeah, every game has issues. I felt like the devs were a little impractical when it came to, you know, negative effects, and this game has suffered from that tremendously as well. So we know it's going to be more towards the top, tippity top. So it's right here around the corner. Bingo, baby. We got two more. Every game has problems, man. You know, I'm the first to say that, without a doubt. But the question of it is, you know, did New World blow it? No. I felt like a couple of things, like, you know, like I said, their farming, their economy, little things like that. To me, that's mild. That's very minute. That's not a make or break. They, you know, they needed to, like, you know, put crafters as crafters. The ability to be able to do everything kind of as a whatever. Yo, morning, Sylvia. Our server is merging on Monday. Oh, okay, definitely. I'll have to log in sometime next week then after the merger, just to, you know, whatever. I still need to farm up all that stuff. Like, somebody had asked me, you know, why am I playing this? I'm like, players want me to play this. I mean, you know, if players want me to play it, you know, I'll play it. You know, there's just, you know, like, I feel like for me, gaming, like, a lot of people game to relax. For me, I game on demand. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of games I'd like to be playing, but, you know, the question of it is, what do people want me to play? And I think that leads itself in the direction of making me, you know, come back to Elder Scrolls, which I don't regret. And I'm glad I did the guides, and I'm looking forward to doing more content. But I definitely want to get back on New World sometime. I definitely would like to revisit Final Fantasy, get caught up on that storyline, you know, and check out that new job, you know, things like that. I would really like to, you know, browse around, you know, and get to see what's going on. That's one thing I really enjoy. That's true, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't like, a lot of people get to have fun in their gaming, right? And for me, that's not, like, I play by demand. So if players tell me, hey, if I have more people wanting me to play this game, it's like, okay, I'm going to be playing this, you know? You know, you're kind of, you're going to be, whatever you're called to do, that's what you're going to do, you know? Oh my, this one's really bad for me. Maybe not. If I can... Ah, snap. Yeah, it's grindy. I hate trying to find the dig sites. You remember Sylvia Warren? She played with us on PS. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, for, you know, well, the dig sites isn't so bad. It's just, I feel like, if somebody says this is fun, I want to know, like, you know, like, there's a dig site right there. Like, I think it's cool. I think it's a cool mechanic. Don't get me wrong. I don't like that these most powerful items are locked behind something like this. This bugs me. It kind of it bugs me. Okay. Oh, wrong way. There we go. Now, how do I want to do this? There's a method behind the madness. Oh, snap. I fucked that up. Odin doesn't need a second. Hi, Odin. How are you today? Bleh. Na, 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 na. My dog's a baby. He loves me. Don't you love me, Odin? What are you doing? Oh, look, he's up. What are you doing? Oh, my Alyssa. My Alyssa. Mine. He's just a baby. He's like my daughter's shadow. Jesus, this dude. Hey, Mystic, what's up? I'll come back to PS just to game with you guys. Yeah. Well, Orin has a PS and a PC. Like me. You know what? I honestly love my PC better. I'm not trying to be a snob. I'm not. Trust you and me. I like gaming on a console. Sometimes it's really nice just to get on a console and just be like, you know what? I ain't even trying to be with that. I'll just, game on a console, right? Sometimes it's nice just to sit down and kind of have that whatever. But you take a look at the prices of like the new console, and this is what I would tell anybody. If you've ever been debated, right, about like what should I get a console or a PC? GPUs are up, but the crypto farmers, they eventually have to switch hardware due to the type of crypto they're farming. So what they end up doing, sometimes you can find really good used GPUs, dirt cheap. I'm talking dirt cheap. Because they can no longer whatever. But there's a CPU shortage, so the price is inflated. But, by the time you price in everything, like, my Mobo was pretty good. It was 300 and something for my Mobo. But my RAM, I run 32 gig. It's probably about $200 and something. And then on top of it, I run my most expensive component is my GPU. So, I don't run in the newer hardware. You don't need the newest stuff. Oh, 100%. The GPU that the crypto farmers use are worn because they are always work. Yeah, but why a pre-built? Never get pre-built. Never do. Never. You know what? Find somebody who will build you a rig. Let me tell you, I never buy prefab, ever. because it's overpriced, way overpriced. Yeah, and you're right, they could be overworked to a degree, but it depends on the farmer and how well they handle their gear. And if really, because GPUs, if they're open and the fans, aren't being compromised, you can find some decent ones. You'll have to, like, it's buyer beware, obviously, but serious, that's why they're dirt cheap too. But like, so long as there's the CPU and the GPU isn't fried and the fans work, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what you can find. But for me personally, I've only bought one used, and it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't like horrible, horrible. You know what I'm saying? To the point where I was like, oh my god, I should never have bought this. I got a good year and something out of it, and I felt like I got a pretty decent purchase out of it. So, that really didn't faze me that much. But yeah, man, I mean, obviously, though, if you can afford to get it new, get it new. I mean, I like PC gaming a lot better just because I can use controllers, but it doesn't have the same factor that you're just sitting on in your living room. You can do it that way. My friend did it. My friend like turned his PC basically into a console. He had a remote, everything. I'm like, geez, ma, Teza's dead. So, my daughter, she's rebuilding her rig. So while she's rebuilding hers, whenever I'm on here, she's confiscating mine. Because you can't easily change out the parts. Pre-built is disgusting, yeah. Don't ever, yeah, because they're soldered. So, like I tell people, stay the fuck away. Stay the fuck away from a laptop. Everybody's like, I want to get a gaming laptop. I'm like, fuck no. Because the thing about it is, like, people, like my friends and family will have me fix their stuff. And then they're like, oh, can you take a look at this for me? Like, my mom bought a laptop and was like, I think it's broke. And I'm like, oh. And then like, I can't even open it up to check out, like, if it's driver issues. So now I have to go in, rescrub, the hard drive, just to get the new drivers loaded to see if, what the diagnostics is showing me, right? That's a time consuming process. Like I tell people, and like people will like I run a triple firewall, I run like all sorts of stuff. I don't, and if I'm going to do anything, I'm very particular how I operate anything. But I've been doing this since back in DOS. Like my what I call my stepdad wasn't really my stepdad. My mom wasn't with him. He was just a man who basically raised me like the son he never had. Was a computer programmer. So I was fortunate enough to be kind of, put into this world of geek stuff when I was pretty young. So when everybody else didn't even have a computer, we had 3 computers. So, and if something broke, he'd make me fix it. And I was like, why do I gotta fix it? He's like, because you gotta learn. Right? That's why, what I'm saying, why I pre-built. You're leveling this skill line? Yeah, with the double XP. I'm taking advantage of it right now, right? But, yeah, so, that's what I'm doing. I gotta, because I haven't done it on this platform. But, yeah, pre-builts, they seem convenient. And don't get me wrong, they seem convenient. But, price point, it's not worth it. Because if something breaks, you're hosed. You're stuck. You're stuck. He's not a friggin' sweet boy. He's not. He's not a good boy. He's a brat. Hey, Odin. I am not a meanie. I'm the master. Like from Doctor Who Master, the drums. He's not tight. Look at him. He's a freaking wussy boy. Actually, this dog isn't a wussy. He's a shire. Come here. Get over here. Don't mess my pillows up. I swear. My daughter was so happy when we moved, and she's like, I get to keep my Odin. Oh. He's a baby, honestly. He's spoiled in every sense of the word. Spoiled. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he dreams. He dreams about the kitties. Oh, he can't have them. No, the kitties. No, get off me. Oh, you son of a fucking asshole. Get off. Oh, son of a... Did I trigger word? Is that your trigger word? Kitties. Kitties! What? The kitties are a myth. I swear to God. Long farm. Yeah, it's a long one. To be fair, though, pre-builts have their advantages, too. They do because they're warranted a little bit longer. You know, I'll give it that. I will say, like, you know, if, like, as far as, like, driver support, all sorts of other stuff, they do kind of have an advantage because there's times that I really, you know, I get kind of tired of, like, you know, when you buy something and then you know, there's no driver support for something that you bought or something. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, that's the thing. Like, for me, I've always liked pre-made, not pre-mades. I mean, building my own rigs. Now, I bought one prefabbed one time, because they had a really decent deal on it, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna have to switch out my controller, but I'm like, I'm gonna get this. This is a pretty good deal. And to be fair, it lasted me 3 years, you know. But I mean, I've had rigs that last me 5, 6 years, you know. And that's the nice thing about online gaming. Most of the time, it takes like 7, 8 years before your rig is so outdated, unless you're playing the newest game. And in MMOs, that's what we went through. In MMOs, it was different from going like from a game like World of Warcraft, which was intentionally built to be able to be played on anything. You literally could one time play that game on any type of rig, so long as it had the driver support. But from going from like a game like that to like Rift, you know, if you didn't have the hardware to run Rift, you weren't playing Rift. And that was the problem with certain games. Like, certain games were really well done, just people couldn't afford the rigs to play them. Now, I used to have this argument in the past with people. I might as well just grab this. I used to have this argument in the past because I'm aware of C++ coding. You know, back in the day when we went to school, we learned C+ coding. So, hold on. So we used to learn basic C+ code, and C++ is usually a very, you know, general tool in coding. And we learned C+ code. God, I want to start saying 6th grade or something when we started learning base C++. And my daughter actually took some engineering. Then her engineering got whatever, but she had to learn, like, you know, different type of codes and stuff when you take all that stuff. But my argument was, back in the day, you know, you can put any game eventually on a console. Because I've never seen any game not being program in C++. All of them are, but the read files have to correspond into that system's, from that console or that machine's operating system. And that's the whole thing, right? So everybody's like, oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. Bullshit, you can't do that. It's all the same fucking base code. Don't fucking stop it. I grew up around this shit. Stop it. You're lying. Now, I don't read. That's what also led me to be a tester. So I don't write C++ code, but I can read it. Now, also because I'm familiar with C+ code, I'm aware of sequencing. That allowed me to do macro. Macros is basically the same principle of generalized prompt command code or whatever. So I was able to write, macros in majority of my games on PC, and then I was able to do that in Final Fantasy on console because you have limitation on buttons. You don't have access to all of those things. You can still use a keyboard or mouse, but if you want to use a controller, all you have to do is write, macro and know how to sequence your global cooldown. That's it. That's simple. Very simplistic. People are like, you can't do that. I did it. And I have over 12,000 views on that video alone because I know how to do it. I was like, yeah, I know how to do this. That's what I used to do. I used to write script codes or script, macros for my DPS in other games. People are like, can you write a macro for us? My one friend who was really good used to talk to me about, hey, have you tried this with this? And he was such a really good at understanding if something conflicted with a sequence. So, and I always would I'm like, dude, I can't get this one. It shouldn't be like that. He's like, I'm telling you, it's a problem with that ability. You're gonna have to. You can't put that in that macro. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I'm telling you. So yeah, that's what being a nerd is. That's what being a geek nerd is about. If you're gonna be a geek nerd, that's what it's about. I just that, I mean, to me, I liked it. I always had fun, but everybody's like, a lot has changed in gaming, and I think consoles. The future of gaming is about accessibility, right? I wish my daughter would do that. She does that in the mornings. But anyways, the thing about it is, I always tell people, the future of gaming is about what? Accessibility. If a game, the more limitations your game has, the more it isn't going anywhere. Like, what's that one game? Ashes of Creation. I think it looks great, but it's going to have limitations. Why? Because it's only on PC. How you been, Orn? Oh yeah, Orn. So, I honestly think that's the problem with Ashes of Creation. Now, I didn't sign up for beta. I don't like or alpha. I mean, I think they still have a beta. I did get into the beta on one thing. I first off, my time isn't what it used to be. Like back in the day, if I was in between end games with my primary games, I could afford to go ahead and test for companies, and that's what I did. And or sometimes I'd even be asked to come in. There was devs that knew me from other projects, email me, and was like, yo, Mystic, you want to come in on this project? I'm like, what are you working on? Sign this, this thing, of course, the non-disclosure. You sign it, and then next thing you know, they're like, this is what we're doing. I'm like, yeah, I'm in on it. Let me check it out. And there was some really good projects out there that never got to see the light of day. And it's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? You're always like, oh, I really wish that would have worked out, because that was a really good concept. It was going to be unique to the genre. You really do want to see a lot of companies succeed. You never want to see anything go through the bottom, but it is a competitive market, and got to keep that in mind. But I've always said, if any game any company that's going to make the adaptation to accessibility is going to have an advantage. And you take games like Final Fantasy, you have games like Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls, one of the major things that makes it such a success is what? It's accessibility. It's accessibility. It's literally playable on every platform but the Switch. It has so much accessibility, and there's only one other game who comes close. That's Final Fantasy. But Final Fantasy and Microsoft still have, they want to get there, but of course there's, conflicts, little things, and that's, holding up the pipeline. I'm like, yo, man, you should be really getting this shit and whatever. The next thing you know, it's about the content. But I've always said, you take a look at what's that game? Neverwinter. Neverwinter does really good, believe it or not. As far as an MMO. I've tried to play it multiple times. I was in the beta for that on PC before I even went to console, and unfortunately, I felt like it was not a good representation of what I expect from a Dungeons and Dragons title. I didn't feel like it really embodied what I expect from a D&D game. And I was kind of disappointed, but people like it and it's doing well. Why? Because it has accessibility. And people can't, you have to get the people in. People don't understand. Like, developers just aren't generalized to be saying, oh, okay, we have the developers over here, so we can put that on every platform without extra heads. Bullshit, because that's why it's always on like Elder Scroll updates are always 2 weeks behind for consoles. There's individuals who are taking that and transferring it into the read file so that console can open up the files. And then that's also another problem that you have with bugs being either common bugs, right, which those can be sourced back to the original, meaning something was wrong in the original file that indicates, okay, it's universal, or it's isolated, meaning it's only to that specific platform. And then you have a dual server problem with console versus PC. PC server direct, and any console server is what they call a verified server. Like, basically, PlayStation, we have to go through PlayStation server to connect to the ZeniMax server. So if PlayStation servers are down, it doesn't matter if ZOS servers are up, we're not going to connect. Vice versa. Microsoft, if Microsoft Xbox servers are down, then we're not connecting. So there's a dual functionality when it comes to that lag. But yeah, there's a lot to go on, and then you got to think about how that affects, right, your frames per second, because it does. It really does. You might not think it, but it does. It bottlenecks it. Definitely hear the hanging in there part. Got you. But yeah, man, definitely. I think some of the best things that I really enjoy is I like. I think gaming for me has been this. It's been a process. All right. Perfect. There we go. what she's doing. Don't ask me. Yeah, oh my god. Well, I found one thing. I can tell my daughters whatever this morning. I loved it. Like, I had a troll was like, oh, like a 40-year-old virgin or something said something. I was like, dude, you're friggin' high. I got kids. And really don't know me back in my day. Oh, I was bad. I was horrible. Jesus, I was bad. I was real bad. Yo, Ben. Interesting. I hope. But yeah, I hope. Excavation up to 5. Yay. Jeez, Jesus. Now, anytime I level, especially this friggin' skill line, you really want to take advantage of the perks, right? Get the passives. I just never get into the digging. Never. So, scrying's almost up there. I think, yeah. So, I'll be able to get the purple ones here soon. So, but yeah. I've got a lot to go. Yo, what's up, Sophie? Boa, FYI. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to really, I think, change gaming in the long sense, in the long term. And I really am hoping that, I think Microsoft, no matter what people think of Microsoft personally, I know people like them, I know people who hate them, whatever. It really doesn't mean anything to me personally. But Microsoft as a service isn't going anywhere, you know. And I'm really thinking in the long-term sense, obviously, since the acquisition, we see this, what is it? Where there's an obligation, and I'm believing it's a third-party provider. So, and I think once that obligation has been fulfilled, that we see the transition, like hopefully. I mean, but there's a lot of things when it comes to data transferring it too. So, I mean, I can speculate only to a degree, but there's a lot that makes me honestly, now that I look back, like their servers were outsourced, and I'm aware of that too, because I was going to do the same thing. I was going to outsource another international server host. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to, if you can afford initially during development your own servers, you have an advantage. And you do. But the question now becomes, oh my, I'm thinking it's around here. I don't like being colorblind, man. I see these darker linings. Oh my gosh, shit balls. Oh snap. Oh, I have no energy. Okay. Aha. Aha ha 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 ha. Lucky guess. Hmm. Can you shut your door, honey? Mm-mm. My kid. But yeah, so we'll see. I'm looking. I think there's a lot to look forward to for the Elder Scrolls. I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. I really don't. I don't see Elder Scrolls leaving anytime soon. There's a lot to do. It's going to age better than a lot of other games. And that's when you've invested graphically into a game, and only thing you need to do is now maintain performance. It's going to age better. The one advantage that Elder Scrolls does have is it isn't a linear game, meaning the content is never outdated. Right? That's the problem when you look at older games. Right? When it has a linear perspective to it, and you jump in, you're already behind. You are so behind. Like that content, some of that content you'll never see. You'll never see it. You won't. You will never get to play some of that content you missed out on. That's why when they brought out vanilla, a lot of people were all like pumped up. World of Warcraft vanilla. Oh my god! The nostalgia. I'm like, who plays it? That's the thing. If you ain't, if there's nobody playing, the content, then it's wasted. It's kaput. It's junk, right? It has no purpose to it. So at the end of the day, you better have something there that is wanting people to continue. Now, the problem with ESO is there's very little incentive once you've acquired. That's the problem. So this game's going to date better than most linear games, right? And it will. Keeping players involved and incentivizing becomes the more intricate part. So once you get server stability, or once you get performance, more fine tuned, what is there left? The question of it is, have you burnt the bridges between you and your consumer? Right? Have you burnt those bridges? Have you gotten to this point where the players do not trust you as an entity, right? And if they don't, well, you're kind of fucked, right? Because once those bridges are burnt, they're burnt. Once it's kaput, well, that's your fault. You have to have a practicality. You have to have some practicality in your delivery. Oh, snap. So is it here the entire time? No, it's getting darker, right? Oh, that's really wacky. I have no charges. Interesting. Interesting. Aha, there's a bonus item. Bum, 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 bum. Trying to think. You know what I'll do? Don't try this at home, kids. That is how you do. This is how we do it. Ta-da! Oh yeah. Anyways, man. All right. So there we go. I'm going to be working this, getting this leveled up. Now we can increase the difficulty. And then I already have, like, this one waiting for me. Oh well. Y'all have a good one. I gotta start baking. Catch you later, Mystic. Thanks, Sylvia. Have a good one as well. But yeah, so we'll see what ESO has. I think Amazon's going to continue to do well. I think their biggest thing is about providing the type of content that our players are wanting. I think the PvP element that New World has is functional. It has a repetitive element to it, but they just need to hone in on it. And once they do that, it'll be good. I think Zos and with Cyrodiil, I don't think Cyrodiil's going to go anywhere. But the problem of it is once if there's a if we let's speculate, if there is a third party, and I mean if there is a third party, that's is the issue when it comes to performance, and that obligation gets met. Once again, I'm speculating here, but if that obligation becomes met, right, are they going is that going to rectify a lot of problems? Well, the Azura servers are the best in the world, hands down. So that's going to be if we can get data transfer onto a new server, if that's plausible, and if these are the scenarios, and if data transfer is we can successfully put these servers on this data on, Cyrodiil will be a whole new world for PvP. But it comes back to the question, even if you get performance back now, what incentivizes players? Pre-existing players is the problem. Retention, retention, retention. Anytime people want to talk to me about business, I say there's only one thing that matters in the business world: retention. Because you've already become associated to that consumer. And without retention, well, you're kind of fucked. You better have it. You better have it. Oh, no, 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 no. And I got one more. Okay. I hate these ones. Oh, shit. Aha. Mwahahahaha. That's right. I'm a digger. I'm an excavator. Yo, hi, what's up? What's up, Pikachu? Doing boring stuff in Outer Scrolls called excavating. Oh my god. Honestly, I sometimes just ask myself, why? I found one item. Alright. Anyways. This is how we level it. This is how we do it. Again and again. I'm gonna let you guys go. But yeah, I think there's a lot of hope. I don't think there's not, you know, a lot of people want to play down and out. I get it. You know, it's tedious, but it's worth it. Am I right? Yeah. No, I mean it is. I mean there are items like I use them, to be honest with you, like in PvE it's hit and miss depending on your group composition. PvP, I use a lot of relics. I mean a lot of mythics. I mean I use a ton of different mythics on my PC. I mean I do. I have probably like 3 or 4 different mythics that for PvP. Yeah, it wrecks. It wrecks. Like, depending on that build. It sweetens that build just a little bit. That build just a little bit. The problem of it is I hate that PvP, a lot of the best PvP type setups derive in PvE. That it alienates the PvPers even more. Because why? Because who wants to PvP for second-rate gear? And then you get the gear to PvP, but then you ask yourself, why am I PvPing now? Because there's nothing for me to get. You see what I'm saying? It's like a catch-22. You know, you're like, So, yeah. That's the problem. Therein lies the problem. If PvP doesn't make us money, bullshit. Let's say half the PvPers have ESO Plus, right? Right? That's money. When they walk away, there goes money. Retention, retention, retention. Always retention. And I know a way to make more money from PvP. I should get a hold of Rich and those guys and put it out there and give them the opportunity to get a hold of me. I should give them the opportunity, you know. But I also got to do the Christmas wish list. I got to do some stuff. Maybe I'll contact Rich and Matt and those guys. Maybe Brian on them and see if they'll take time to listen. I don't have to implement anything, but you know. The simple fact of it is, you know, I'm always thinking business-like. Very, you know, I dissect things. I own my own IP. So, you know, I've had investors be like, just leave Ohio. We'll give you the money. We'll do it. I'm like, that's not the point. That's not my point. Because I used to, like, do stuff for, like, I got into it with like certain CEOs of gaming companies. They're like, you were such a friggin' asshole. He's an idiot. He threw away his company. Like, you know, what the fuck? You got to think long term. Always, always. You got to know, you know, what lifespan you can get, and you know how, you know, can you expand or is it going to diminish? And if it's going to diminish, then you milk that bitch and you move on to the next project. But you got to have a budget, you got to have a timeline, and you got to be practical. You have to be. Like, I was talking to somebody about the Unreal Engine, and somebody was like, I just hate the overhead, you know, the cost factor. And I'm like, but here's the thing. Take a look at development for an engine, for a new engine, and the timeline it's going to take for the association. Once you've acquired your own engine, well, that's good. That's great. But now the thing about it is you got to also have the, you know, the people put in place for what? Software updates, drivers, all these other things. You have to be able to maintenance, you know, whatever. Unreal's one of the most costly, but it's one of the most updated and thing. The business model, you know, that keeps Epic in play for the long term. Fortnite could tank tomorrow, and Epic ain't going anywhere. It's not going fucking anywhere. Anywhere. Because out of all the gaming engines out there, Unreal's one of the most stable engines. So when you have game companies that fail in their launch using the Unreal Engine, that's not the engine, that was you guys fucking up. You have one of the most stable engines in the industry, and you're fucking it up. You know, do not throw money away. And Unreal's business plan model has changed dramatically. I still think it's way overpriced. I think it's an ungodly, unrealistic price, especially when you take into Steam's like overhead. People want to talk about Apple, like you know, Apple chewing their, you know, for their charging for the apps and stuff. You know, they basically got a little service charge everywhere. I'm like, but take a look at Steam, right? I mean, holy shit kebab. Steam just killing it. Steam making money like the hell. If you can get a game, this is what I always tell people. I have Steam. I buy games from Steam. But here's what I always tell people. I never go through Steam for direct purchases. It's great that I have a library. It's great that I have, but I have that if I buy direct anyways. You know, if I buy any virtual game, it's in the database. So if I was going to buy a game, like if I was going to get Elder Scrolls and they have a direct where I don't need to purchase it through Steam, I would rather have my money go to the company, all of it, versus a portion. So think about that when you buy a game. When you buy a game, you're basically, you know, cutting the company's profit margin by buying from a third party. And then that company is now struggling to make a profit to do what? Put money back in to its product. Right? Because when you gain revenue, what do? You expand. But if you ain't gaining revenue, how are you expanding? You're not. So companies like Steam, though they offer a service, and that's why I always say Microsoft's in a good position, because when Microsoft is acquiring companies like Bethesda and ZeniMax, right? They're positioning what? Service. Yes, they own the game company, they own the studio now, but their service they're going to retain profit from both ends. So people can say, well, is that a monopoly? Not really, because what they're doing is saving what? The loss of money from the real competitor is the third party market. It's not other games that's the competition now. It's the third party distribution. You can't get around it because if you want more sales, you have to utilize it, but it's ripping your profit margins dramatically. Now, I would know. I do know this. So I'm like, Microsoft did good. Microsoft is very, very aware of what they're doing. They have businessmen and women, very important, business people who are understanding how to do what? Get the most bang from their buck and retain and trying to keep their profit margins, you know, going up versus declining. Why? To third-party distribution. So you got to take a look at that. Anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go. As always, I'm Mysticraven. This is Mystics MMOs. Have a good one.